Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, it's about time I brought you guys my 2020 NBA mock draft. This is probably going to be my final mock draft because I feel like we have all the information we need to know going into the NBA draft, aside from some trades that might happen, but the trades can't officially happen until November 18th. So before we get to it, guys, make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe, and turn on my notifications to help the channel grow. And on top of that, tomorrow I'm picking up my PS5. I'm going to be putting in work on NBA 2K21 on PS5 on my gaming channel, TheFlightMike TV. It's TheFlightMike TV with my exact same avatar as this TheFlightMike channel. You can find it in the pinned comment section down below. I'm going to comment all of my other social media links with it as a pinned comment in the comment section down below. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2 with the first pick in the 2020 NBA draft. The Minnesota Timberwolves select LaMelo Ball. Now, guys, there's a huge misconception this year that there's no clear-cut number one overall pick because of talent, but that's not necessarily true. There's no clear-cut number one overall pick because each and every player in this NBA draft would be a very wonky fit with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So in that case, the Timberwolves should just take the best prospect available. And in my opinion, that prospect is LaMelo Ball. Now, I understand there's some people that are a little sketched out by LaMelo Ball, but here's the thing. Both LaMelo Ball and D'Angelo Russell have very, very similar games to one another. Both are remarkable scorers that have a very unique ability to distribute the ball as well. Both are extremely savvy playmakers, but in my opinion, I feel like D'Angelo Russell likes to score a little bit more as opposed to making plays for his teammates. But here's the thing, having a backcourt of two combo guards that have the ability to score and create plays for their teammates is a head coach's dream, especially if that head coach likes running up-tempo offenses, which I see LaMelo Ball thriving in. He's a 6'7" point guard that could slot up at the point guard position or shooting guard position, and that in itself will be a matchup nightmare going into the NBA. And if he adds some muscle to his frame, you could even slot him in at the small forward position and potentially make him into a point forward. Now, that's a pretty big freaking if, but at the end of the day, no player in this draft has more potential than LaMelo Ball. And hell, even if he's just an above average player, or if he's just the third or fourth best player in the NBA draft, his name is going to sell tickets, and that in of itself is reason enough for me to take him number one overall in a draft where all of the top prospects are a strange fit. With the second pick in the 2020 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select James Wiseman. This is a beautiful scenario where best player available meets a position of need for the Golden State Warriors. We don't see a situation typically where a top three player in the NBA draft is a center. It's very rare. Last time it's happened was with DeAndre Ayton in 2018, and then Karl Anthony Towns in 2015. So the Warriors have a very unique opportunity here, and I see them opting for a player that could start for them like James Wiseman, as opposed to a player that they would be bringing off of the bench in Anthony Edwards. Regardless, I see any player being drafted here as a potential trade target in the future to acquire a better player, but for now, I see the Golden State Warriors taking James Wiseman with the number 2 overall pick. With the third pick in the 2020 NBA draft, I have the Charlotte Hornets selecting Anthony Edwards. I know there's a rumor that the Hornets really want James Wiseman, and I understand that. Hey, if they don't draft James Wiseman, they might go for, I don't know, Onyeka Okongwu. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, Anthony Edwards is considered to be by far the top player in this draft class. And when you could potentially have a need of a player in your backcourt, even though you're comfortable with your backcourt, even though you paid Terry Rozier way too much money to be your starting point guard and saw Devontae Graham emerge, you cannot pass up on a talent like Anthony Edwards. He has the potential to be what you want in a modern day shooting guard. He did only shoot 29% from three when he was in college in Georgia, but also you have to understand that he shot 7 3-pointers per game, so the confidence to shoot threes is there. His free throw percentage was also up, which shows that there's going to be potential for him to develop his three-pointer at the NBA level. And honestly, if you look at Tom Crean's track record with guards, he's developed Dwayne Wade and Victor Oladipo. Both players ended up being very good players in the NBA. So I'm going to feel good if Anthony Edwards falls to me with the number 3 pick if I'm Charlotte. Now, the 4th pick in the NBA draft is where things get a little nippy because the Chicago Bulls have a very young starting 5. You know, you look at their entire starting 5, it's currently Coby White, Zach LaVine, Otto Porter, Lauri Markkanen, and Wendell Carter. Lauri Markkanen was literally drafted 3 years ago. Wendell Carter almost averaged a double-double this year. Otto Porter is being paid a max contract. Coby White was drafted last year, and Zach LaVine is a pretty solid player. This is really tough, but I'm going to give the nod to Obi Toppin. Now, Obi Toppin is your traditional power forward prospect. He is a little bit older than the average player in the NBA draft, but I could personally see him dominating with that starting lineup that could potentially push the tempo with the starting lineup of the Chicago Bulls, and Lauri Markkanen has been stagnating in his development recently, but worst case scenario, you could have lineups where Toppin is at the 4 position and you move Markkanen to the center position in order to really stretch out the floor. Now, I understand that I said that I don't really put a lot of stock into a player's ability to shoot threes in college, but if you look at his free throw percentage and 3-point percentage when he was at Dayton, it's pretty solid. Now, of course, his first year, he averaged about 0.6 3-points attempt per game, but his second year, he averaged 2.6 3-pointers attempt per game, and he was able to convert on 39% of those. He shoots 70% from free throw, which means that he does have a huge potential to be able to develop a 3-point jumper in the NBA level. Now, of course, one of the cons of this is Toppin is currently 22 years old, but I feel like he hasn't reached his ceiling yet, and I feel like he has the potential to be the best player in this year's NBA draft, and he'll probably be able to help the Chicago Bulls the most, which is why I think Obi Toppin is going to go number 4 overall to Chicago. With the 5th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Onyeka Okongwu. Now, Onyeka Okongwu is my favorite player in this entire draft. He is notorious for being one of the members of the Chino Hills basketball team that featured the 3 Ball brothers that absolutely dominated in high school. But Okongwu has the potential to be a phenomenal player in the NBA. He kind of reminds me of a Hassan Whiteside or Montrezl Harrell type of player, but because he has tremendous athleticism, he's a great defensive player. I don't know if he's ever going to have a jump shot. He didn't really try shooting threes when he was in college. He does have a great free throw percentage, however, and I am very confident that he's going to develop into a good player as well. Regardless, the Cavaliers are probably going to lose Andre Drummond this summer, and they need a new center to fill that void, so Okongwu makes a ton of sense over here. With the 6th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, I have the Atlanta Hawks selecting Tyrese Haliburton. Now, it's very tempting to take Deni Avdija here, but the problem is, last year, the Atlanta Hawks drafted Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter, and drafted/traded for Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter. And the problem with that is they are so loaded at the small forward position that I can't imagine them once again drafting yet another small forward, even though Deni is very, very versatile. Tyrese Haliburton is a point guard, and I understand Trae Young is also a point guard, but Haliburton is also more of a scoring point guard. He's about 6'5" tall, so it makes a lot of sense to place him next to Trae Young as opposed to, drafting yet another small forward. With the 7th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, I have the Detroit Pistons selecting Deni Avdija. Now, the Detroit Pistons have Derrick Rose, they have Blake Griffin. The one thing that they really needed help with was at the wing position. Deni could do a little bit of everything. He's a remarkable scorer and a pretty good playmaker as well. I feel like he's going to fit in perfectly with Detroit next to Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin. With the 8th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, I have the New York Knicks selecting Killian Hayes. Now, I understand they have Dennis Smith Jr. and they have Frank Ntilikina, and they have a decent amount of point guards, but Killian Hayes is a player that could potentially be the best player in the NBA draft. A lot of front offices are pegging him as a possible top 5 pick, while other front offices have him falling outside of the top 10. ultimately, Killian Hayes' ability to become a great player comes down to whether or not he's going to be able to develop a three-point jump shot, but I feel like a backcourt of RJ Barrett and Killian Hayes is one that the New York Knicks could get excited about moving forward. With the 9th pick, I have the Washington Wizards selecting Isaac Okoro, just based off of what they need the most. Isaac Okoro fits what they need, but unfortunately, Isaac Okoro is kind of like Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. He's a remarkable defender, but he's not really good at anything else besides that. Maybe he's able to develop his offensive game in the NBA, but we'll have to wait and see. With the 10th pick in the NBA draft, I have the Phoenix Suns selecting Devin Vassell. At this point, the Suns don't really need to worry about their starting five. As a matter of fact, they seem to be loaded in their starting five. But the only thing that I could see them addressing at this point would be their bench. Also, this pick could be traded by the time this mock draft comes out, possibly to the OKC Thunder. But assuming that the Suns keep it, I see them taking Devin Vassell here. With the 11th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Patrick Williams. And this is a little bit of a steal for the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs luck out with their ability to select Patrick Williams, a player that could potentially develop into a really solid player for the San Antonio Spurs. He's not overly known for his ability to shoot and is going to be a little bit of a project, but the San Antonio Spurs have a pretty good track record with projects. With the 12th pick in the NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Aaron Nesmith. This pick is 100% based off of the Sacramento Kings trying to get some shooting, and Aaron Nesmith is the best shooter in the entire NBA draft. With the 13th pick, I have the New Orleans Pelicans drafting Tyrese Maxey out of Kentucky. Now, this pick is 100% dependent upon the Jrue Holiday trade rumors being true. I'm hearing a lot of information about the Pelicans trading Jrue Holiday. So Tyrese Maxey is a very similar type of player. He's an undersized scoring guard that is going to look to fill that Jrue Holiday role, which is some big shoes to fill. With the 14th pick, I have the Boston Celtics finally getting the size that they've been yearning for by drafting Jalen Smith. With the 15th pick, I have the Orlando Magic selecting RJ Hampton in order to bolster their backcourt a little bit. Now, of course, there are those that are huge believers in Markelle Fultz. Regardless, I feel like in the event that they want to move on from Markelle Fultz, they have another option in RJ Hampton, who is going to give them some backcourt depth and could be an interesting prospect for them to develop down the line. With the 16th pick, I have the Portland Trail Blazers going big and drafting Precious Achiuwa. Honestly, because I couldn't see another position of need for the Portland Trail Blazers that they could address other than Precious Achiuwa. With the 17th pick, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves drafting Sadiq Bey in order to give themselves some front court depth. With the 18th pick, I have the Dallas Mavericks selecting Cole Anthony out of North Carolina. This might be my favorite fit of the entire draft, because the number one knock that most teams have on Cole Anthony is the fact that he's a point guard that isn't really known for his abilities to make plays for his teammates. So if you try to build a team around him, he's going to be a scoring point guard. It's not going to really work out. You don't want to build your team around Cole Anthony. Rather, you want to insert him into a situation where there's another playmaker on the roster and they could lean on him for scoring as necessary. And that's why this is perfect, because he's going to join a team whose primary playmaker is a small forward, Luka Doncic, and they also have other remarkable scorers as well next to him, as well as Kristaps Porzingis. This is probably my favorite pick of the entire draft because it's that perfect combination of need meets fit. With the 19th pick, I have the Brooklyn Nets selecting Jaden McDaniels out of Washington. This is a player that has tremendous upside, but is considered to be very, very raw. With the 20th pick, I have the Miami Heat selecting Kira Lewis Jr. out of Alabama. Kira Lewis Jr. is a fantastic fit for the Miami Heat and possesses such tremendous athleticism and potential that I think this is a remarkable fit. Because on one hand, the Miami Heat are also going to lose Goran Dragic this season, but Kira Lewis Jr. should be capable of doing a lot of the stuff that the Miami Heat expect in their point guards, such as pushing the tempo, because Kira Lewis also led the nation's fastest offense in the entire NCAA. With the 21st pick, I have the Philadelphia 76ers selecting Josh Green out of Arizona. a player that is still developing his jump shot a little bit. He was able to hit 36% from 3 while attempting almost 3 3-pointers per game this year, but has tremendous defensive potential and is an elite defender as is. With the 22nd pick, the Denver Nuggets adding depth to their backcourt by drafting Theo Maledon out of France. Now, Theo Maledon was supposed to be a lottery pick. He's fallen down a little bit since, and the Denver Nuggets are historically known for being able to strike gold in the NBA draft. With the 23rd pick, I have the Utah Jazz selecting Nico Mannion out of Arizona. With the 24th pick, I have the Milwaukee Bucks filling a huge position of need by drafting Isaiah Stewart out of Washington. With the 25th pick, I have the OKC Thunder drafting Aleksej Pokusevski, a power forward out of Serbia. With the 26th pick, I have the Boston Celtics selecting Tyler Bay out of Colorado. With the 27th pick, I have the New York Knicks selecting Udoka Azubuike from Kansas. With the 28th pick, I have the Los Angeles Lakers selecting Leandro Balmaro out of Argentina. With the 29th pick, I have the Toronto Raptors selecting Robert Woodard II out of Mississippi State. With the 30th pick, I have the Boston Celtics drafting Xavier Tillman out of Michigan State.